Добрий день, everybody! Усіх вітаю на першій лекції вебінарного проєкту How to – як спілкуватись англійською впевнено. Мене звати Калина Бішер, я комунікаційна менеджерка Мінцифри та водночас модераторка цього ефіру. Цей вебінарний проєкт для вас створили національний проєкт «Дія цифрова освіта» та онлайн-маркет курсів англійської мови «Буя». Ми вирішили зробити експеримент, і буде звучати цей освітній курс двома мовами – українською та англійською. Тема нашого ефіру сьогодні – «Як скласти резюме». Про це детальніше розповість Інна Жарук, викладачка та спікерка школи англійської мови Green Forest, має 20 років досвіду викладання. Отож, Інно, вітаю! Як ваші справи?
Вітаю! Hello, everybody! I'm fine. How are you, Kalina?
Just fine.
Just fine.
It was busy morning today, you know, but I'm ready to start our education lesson.
Great. Yes. I hope everybody who joined us in this stream is also ready. And I'm a bit worried, but I hope I will not forget anything to tell you.
Так, і я нагадаю саме нашим глядачам, що ви можете ставити ваші запитання українською або англійською. Я їх зачитаю наприкінці лекції Інни, і ви зможете почути відповідь тією мовою, якою поставили запитання. Словом, давайте експериментувати разом, давайте вчитися, давайте наше резюме буде запаморочливо успішним, і нас на горизонті буде чекати нова улюблена робота. Тож, Інна, мікрофон ваш.
Thanks a lot. Hello, everybody, one more time. My name is Inna, and today we are going to look with you at the presentation which I have prepared for you about how to write a CV. I've been teaching English for many years, and a lot of my students asked me to help them with, let's say, editing or maybe helping to create a CV. And I thought that it would be nice and useful for everybody who is now looking for a job. So let's get started. And the first thing that I'd like to discuss with you, this is why you haven't written your CV. Quite often people suffer from perfectionism. You know what it is. This is when you want everything to be perfect. And unfortunately, let's imagine you want to have a perfect wife, so you won't get married at all because it's hard to find a perfect wife. The same with CV. A lot of people think that their CV must be perfect, and that's why they don't write it at all. I would like to help you today to at least get started and to make a few first steps to motivate you to start writing your CV. So, if you haven't written your CV, answer these questions, please. Why haven't you written your CV yet? Do you want it to be perfect? Really? How to make it perfect? A lot of people think that they have nothing to write about, but it's only your thought. When you get started, when you start writing something, you will see that everybody has something to tell about. And of course, the question is, do you know how to start? You know, the first step is usually the hardest one for a lot of people. And today I'd like you to help you and to make the first step. Our plan for today is, just a second, how to begin, brag, don't be modest. I'll explain you later what it is, how to sell yourself, eye tracking studying. I'll tell you a little bit about elevator pitch, about the design and style of your CV, what is the difference between CV and resume, how to customize it, some keywords, and the last one, but not the least one, of course, this is how to write the cover letter. Let's start. At the very beginning of your CV, you have to write very simple things. First of all, you have to write your name in English if you're applying for a job in an international company or abroad in Europe and America. Also, you have to write your phone number. It must include your country code so that people can contact you via Telegram or WhatsApp or other messengers. Also, your email. Guys, it must be professional. A lot of people have weird emails, something like Candice 205 or piano I love guitar @gmail.com. Please don't do that. Professional email usually consists of your name and your surname. If you haven't done it yet, do it now. Also, I'd like you to recommend to include your LinkedIn account. About this, we will have a special webinar, which will be, as you can see, I wrote here at the end, on the 22nd of August, the same time like today. If you are interested in this topic, you're welcome to join it. For those who have portfolio, I highly recommend you to include portfolio, also your social networks and your photo, or not. About your photo, I'd like to speak a bit. Nowadays, a lot of companies are trying to create an attitude to every job appliers like equal, let's say, that everybody has equal rights and equal possibilities. And that's why they usually don't like when you include your photo, because on the photo it's they can see whether you're, I don't know, they can see your color, the color of your skin. They can see how old you are, and it may be well, it may create a little bit of prejudice of HRs or recruiters. So nowadays in Europe and America, people don't include photos in their CV. But if it's important for you, or maybe you're an actress, probably then you should do that. I'd like you now to give you 1 minute to do that. This is the beginning. Please, you can take just a piece of paper, or you can take, you can open a Google Doc, or you can open a Word, Microsoft Word, and write there your name, your phone number, your email, and I don't know, your portfolio if you have any links there. Please do that. You have a minute. All the questions that you are writing in the chat, I will answer at the end if you don't mind. But I see that somebody asked me about what is LinkedIn. Masha Bakanecheva. It is a huge network like Facebook, but it's professional network where you usually write your experience, your job experience, and this is how people are looking for a job, and this is how people can find you. This is like a professional social network, let's say. So 1 minute to write, and then we will start and have a look at the next slide. Allah is asking about professional email. I have already explained it, that it mustn't contain anything like any weird words, let's say strange words. A professional email usually consists of your name and your surname. That's it. If you want, you can include like maybe a number, but nothing like travel around the world at gmail.com. Okay, I hope you did. This was your first step in writing the CV. To write your name, your phone number, your email, and to include some necessary links that people can check who you are. Let's have a look at the next slide. In your CV, the main goal is to sell yourself. Sell, you know, when you are selling. Of course, you're like, not like, I mean to sell yourself in quotation marks. How to sell yourself? You have to write the years, how long you have been working for the company. I'll show you examples a little bit later. The company name and your job description. Usually this was what you did. But when you write what you did, you have to brag about your achievements. Brag, guys, it means like when you show off, when you are proud of your achievements, when you want to boast about your achievements, what you have done. Quite often people include numbers. For example, I've been working as a teacher for 20 years, so I can write in my portfolio that in my CV that I have taught like more than 5,000 students. It can be names. If you have worked for some famous companies or with some famous people, this is also nice to include, or anything you think is important for this particular job. I'll tell you a little bit also later about that. The examples that I'd like to show you, I have found on this website. This link will be included in the description to this video. No worries, you can open and find there like thousands of examples. Let me show you one. This one is quite good. We have here years, we have here the job title, the name of the company, and then what the person did. Quite long description in my opinion, but to be honest, this is the only experience person has, so that's okay. The only thing that I'd like you to pay attention to on this left part, I hope it's left on your, so the one with blue color where we have here William Sutton. As you can see, it's in blue. So when HR prints this CV, he will use a lot of color, and he will use the color, the print for printing it, and it will be black actually. So my advice is be eco-friendly. Don't write some, don't include some bright colors in your CV. It must be black and white, and nothing like that. This one is better example. Look, the person has written his CV just using black and white and or gray, I don't know, and a little bit of blue, like me today, with blue dots. And in my opinion, this CV looks much better, and chances that HR will print it and take a second look at it much higher than the previous one. The website that I recommend you contains a lot of different examples of CVs, depends on the area, like IT, accounting, finance, teaching, education, students, and so on and so forth. So this is like a nice way to look for some examples of CVs. You just write like CV in IT or CV in teaching, and then you will find a lot of different some samples on the internet, which can help you to understand what kind of CV you want. But for sure, it must be personal. I mean, it must represent you. Let's continue a little bit. One more thing that I'd like you to pay attention to, this is eye tracking study. I found an interesting study, which has been conducted by British scientists. You know, they are the most active scientists in the world who conduct a lot of studies. And according to their study, HR spends 7.4 seconds on average to read your CV. So only 7 seconds. And this diagram or map, which you can see over here, shows where they look at. First of all, they look at your name, then they look at your description. 1 minute and I will tell you about that. And then they look somewhere in the middle. So the most important information, the most, the biggest achievements in your life or in your job experience must be written over there, somewhere in the middle of the CV and on the top. If you are interested, the link to this study also will be included under this video description and in the description. And if you have time, it's like only 3 or 4 pages. Very quickly, just look it through to understand how HR look at our CVs and what they are looking there for. I'd like to go back to this CV, which I showed you before. On the very top of the CV, you can see here a short description of the person. This is where HR looks at. This is a short description of you. And it is called elevator pitch. What is elevator pitch? I wrote here a definition from the dictionary. It's a short but effective explanation that is intended to persuade someone to buy a product or accept an idea, or in our case, to buy you. So an elevator pitch, imagine you are in an elevator with Elon Musk and you want to sell yourself. You want him to hire you. So you have 30 seconds while you're going up in the elevator to represent yourself and to tell a brief but very impressive description about you. So that's what must your CV include. One more time, I'd like you to pay attention to this eye tracking studying. It's over here on the top that people, that HR looks at. And this is your short description. Over here, we have a person who wrote about his teaching experience. Over here, we have another short description. It usually contains, let's say, 3, 4, up to 10 sentences about you. I wouldn't write too long, to be honest. Also, as I told you before, as you can see here, it contains some numbers that it can impress the person. He can understand how long you have been working, how many years, or how many projects you have conducted, what are the most famous projects you have done. Elevator pitch must be written and rewritten and rewritten again and again. To practice that, you can also attend our webinar, which will be on the 8th of August, the same time, on Monday. And Katya, my colleague, will tell you how to do that in the best way. I just want you to tell that it's something that hard to write at the very, at the very beginning, when you just sit down and write, okay, here is my elevator pitch, here is my presentation. Try, if somebody tells you, tell me about yourself, it's so difficult. So you need to practice. My recommendation, every morning when you get up, take a notebook or open your some notes and write there about yourself. Use 3-5 sentences and do that every morning. Don't look at the previous pages which you wrote, just write and write. And then, like, at the end of the week, you can look through all of them and think, okay, this is a nice sentence, this one I would take. As I said before, Katya will tell you much more about that, but your CV must start with presentation about you, with 3, 4, 5 sentences about you. These CVs have much higher chances, at least to be looked through by the HR and to be invited for the job interview. Let's continue. How to design your CV. A lot of my students who write CVs, they quite often, send me the CVs, and I rarely correct the mistakes. But what I do, I have to correct the design of the CV, because people write too much, or they write and they use different styles. They use different bullet points. Bullet point, these are different, these things you see. So they use like squares or diamonds or dots in different like job descriptions. Your CV must have the same style. It's very important. You have to design your CV, but as you can see, I wrote not too much. What it means, not too much? It means don't use too many colors or too many different fonts or different sizes of fonts. It must fit in one page. It's important. You must be brief. You must be accurate. Accurate means it mustn't contain any mistakes. But if your level, or like if your English level is intermediate, then write as you can. I mean, my recommendation, don't ask some professionals to write CV for you, because even if your CV makes a good impression and people think that you have really a great level of the language, but in reality it's like intermediate, then better write it in like according to your level. Use some simple structures. Use the words that you know. Well, it's your CV, remember, not somebody's. Be professional, one more time. So your CV mustn't contain, I don't know, some pictures of your dogs or some information how many dogs you've got, unless you want to be a zookeeper. Then, of course, it must have there. Use white space. What is white space? Let me show you one more time. White space, it's this like part when there is nothing, and that people can identify this group, like this information, second part of information, and so on. Also, as I said, you must keep your style and think about general impression. The best way to think about general impression is to print your CV and to show it to your friends or to your colleagues or maybe to your boss even, like what they think about that. If you have HR, then ask the HR about this general impression. Usually, recruiters are very generous giving feedback, and you can ask about that as well. Anya wrote about the difference between CV and resume. I will tell you about that a little bit later, Anichka. The next one, let's move on. I want you to show a good example, in my opinion, of the CV. It's not the best. I didn't want to find you the best one. I just want you to show like a nice examples of CVs. They contain white space. They have, these are two examples, by the way. They have like the same style. They have some blocks, and they contain like a profile. Over here we have, for example, here the person wrote his profile, and here he wrote his objective. Objective, it means like your aims, your goals. Also, as you can see, in the middle, the person wrote like his achievements. This is where HR will look at. Here, the person wrote his skills and his experience. Again, this is the second where HR will look at according to eye tracking study. And one more, look at these examples. A lot of colors, a lot of different blocks. Unclear what it is. It's even hard to read. So please don't do that. Even if you're a designer and you're a very creative person, you can show that when you get the job, but not in your CV. Your CV must be a little bit, let's say, elegant, as I wrote you about that before. Talking about CV, I wanted to tell you that CV is the word that means your life experience. And my recommendation, in your CV, write everything, all experience that you have. This is like your education, qualifications, different workshops, some webinars, some certificates that you have done, even your personal interests. This must contain your CV because it's your like life experience. It's the story of your life. By the way, some of my students told me when they were writing their CV, it was like the whole life was in front of them, like, you know, before the death. So it's a nice way to look back at your life, to think what you did. On the contrast, resume, it's more American English, and in America, people use the word resume rather than CV, and resume is a little bit different. Resume contains the same, according to the dictionary, it's almost the same, but I noticed that in resume, people write only those information, only those like pieces of information that are necessary for this particular job. And this is my next slide about. I hope you understood that CV is more British English, your resume is American English, and CV contains all your life experience, all your working experience, and resume contains a particular one. And this is what I want you to talk about. Nowadays, people don't send CV, they send resume. They customize their CV. What means customize? This is when you modify your CV to suit for a particular job. So if this job is a financial director, I don't know, or an accountant, so your resume must have only experience or only some certificates or education connected to this particular job. And so Nastya asks me, what is the best CV or resume? Nastya, I recommend to have CV as a basis, which you always have in Word or in Google Doc. And depends on what job you're applying for. You choose particular information from your CV and create a resume. So to apply for a job, you need to have a resume. But to create a basis for that, it's better to create a CV and to keep it on your laptop or on Google Doc. Except customizing your title, you also have to create a summary of qualifications. That's what I said before, that the summary of qualification must have like 3, 4, 5 sentences about you. Also, you need to display your skills at the front and the center. Remember, eye tracking study, yes? So it must have at the top and somewhere in the middle. Also, remove irrelevant experience. If you were working as a waiter and you want to be an IT developer, then this experience is irrelevant and you can just delete it. And the last but not the least, of course, you have to match keywords in the job description with the algorithm. Nowadays, a lot of HRs and recruiters use different algorithms, and they are just looking for particular keywords in your resume. And if they see them, then you go to the pile contact later. If they don't see these keywords, unfortunately, they will not contact you. What means keywords? Keywords, these are the words that you have to, you have to look for the job description that you are applying, for the job that you are applying for. So here I found a job description and I highlighted the keywords that, in my opinion, must be included in your CV, in your resume. But if you are an accountant, then I think I found one more, looks like an accountant. Just a second. Okay, it doesn't go further. Okay, yes, so this is another job description, and here I also highlighted some keywords, which, like, I don't think that all of them must be included in your CV, but some of them must. The HR will use the algorithm and will see these words and understands that, okay, this is the person I need to talk to. One more time, let's get back to your CV, which must become a resume. So you have to customize your title. You have to write a brief summary according to the job you're applying for. You have to display your skills at the front and in the center. You need to remove irrelevant experience or irrelevant certificates or some workshops, and practice with keywords. What you can do, if you want to get a job as an English teacher, for example, you can take 20 job descriptions and look at them and try to highlight, like take a marker and highlight all the words that must be included in your CV. Use 30% from them. Don't use all of them, but keywords for sure will help you to get at least a job interview. Okay, that's the next one. The last that you have to do is to create a cover letter. Cover letter, it's a letter that must be written in your email. So you attach your CV to the email, and the cover letter, this is like your motivational letter. It's kind of elevator pitch, which I told you about before, but a little bit different. This one, you have to motivate the person to contact you. Some people write huge cover letters, especially students, if they're applying for some grants. And this is okay. Others write very short ones. But your cover letter shouldn't have generic phrases. Generic, it's like very general, like you are a team player, you're a creative person, and so on and so forth. Let me show you a small example of it. I think it's fine, to be honest, and it's short. As you can see, it contains like 3 paragraphs, even 2. The last one is like, just thank you for your time and consideration. Also, it contains your contacts, but the cover letter must tell about you a little bit, let's say. Don't write very huge one. And imagine an HR who gets, let's say, 30 emails which contain absolutely the same phrases. I know it's not so easy to find the phrases that represent you the best, but as I told you, if you practice regularly, if you try to write a cover letter, let's say, every day or every other day, then it would be quite useful. By the way, we have created some exercises for practicing, Green Forest team, and the link for these exercises also will be under this video, and you can, after our webinar, practice that, open some tasks and try to do that. You can also check yourself there, so you write some answers or match some phrases and then check yourself. It would be for sure quite useful for you. The last what I want you to tell about this is that you have to write your CV again and again. It's a process that we never stop. You have to update your CV every time you change your job, or you get a new certificate, or you get a new degree. A lot of employees send their CVs even if they are not looking for a job. They just do that for fun. And if they get a better job offer from another company, first of all, what they can do, they can come to their boss and tell, I got a better job offer. Maybe you can pay me the same money. Or they can literally change the job. So it's not bad. Also, you have to get the feedback about your CV. You can ask your friends and colleagues to take a look. I notice also when you apply for a job, and even if you don't get a job, you can ask HR, what do you think about my CV? A lot of recruiters are nice and they are happy when somebody asks them their personal opinion. And this is a good way to get the feedback from HR. And the last, of course, you have to create your LinkedIn account. As I told you about, one of my colleagues will tell you about how to do that on the 22nd of August, as far as I remember. You can check this social network, and it's for those who are looking for a job. One more thing that I'd like you to recommend, this is somewhere in the middle over here, set a reminder once a year to take a look at your CV. Even if you are working for the same company and you have been doing that for many years, once a year, take a look at your CV. Think, is it okay, maybe I forgot something, maybe I should delete something, or I should add something more about myself. Because we are changing all the time. And one more thing that I'd like to tell you, that a lot of my students who we were creating CV with, they said that when they were making their CVs, they finally understood what kind of job they want. So a lot of people feel lost and they don't want to, or they don't realize exactly what job they are looking for. But creating your CV will definitely help you that. So if you feel lost, if you don't know, oh, maybe I should do that, or maybe I should do this, then writing your CV will help you with that. I suppose that's it. Now we got some time to answer your questions. I'll be happy. I hope Kalina will join me and we will read some questions.
With a big pleasure. So, what we have now? Ми маємо кілька запитань, і перед тим я нагадаю нашим глядачам, чому ви потрапили на такий цікавий, крутий вебінар, і яку ми задумку маємо. Власне, ми бачимо зараз безпрецедентний інтерес до України, тож круто використати цю ситуацію, аби попрацювати у міжнародних командах та проєктах. І цей шлях починається часто саме з резюме англійською. Тому ми сьогодні розбиралися в тому, як його найкраще підготувати, і вирішили лекцію провести саме англійською мовою для максимального занурення. Адже якщо ви вже готуєте резюме англійською, то логічно ви вже розуміли, що ж нам такого важливого радила Інна. Отже, йдемо до запитань. Перше запитання від Олени. Is it better to use Europass form to create a CV?
You can do that if you want. To be honest, I don't mind. I think that Europass form works quite good. So I like my personal one, to create some kind of personal touch. But I suppose that if you want to use it, I think that it's also a good idea.
Наступне запитання ловимо від Ксенії. What about maternity leave? Is it okay to write it?
Ksenia, if you think that it matters, for example, if you are looking for a job with the flexible working hours, then for sure use this information. If you are ready, or if you have a babysitter and you are ready to work full-time job, then it's not so necessary to mention. You know, anyway, some employers are afraid to hire women who have small babies because the babies get ill very often and they're afraid that they will take a sick leave. But nevertheless, lots of my students actually working and they have babies. I also started working when my babies were like 2 months old, and like it was okay because I had the babysitter. So
Just wow. Окей. Павло запитує, підкажіть, будь ласка, чи подаються разом із CV додатки? Наприклад, якщо я вказую в CV, що я пройшов курс від Green Forest або якийсь інший професійний, то чи треба надсилати сертифікат про проходження цього курсу?
Павло, чесно кажучи, це треба вказати в вашому CV, але якщо вони будуть потім, якщо після там job interview вони захочуть підтвердження, то тоді вже надсилається. Зазвичай лише саме CV надсилається, коли ви подаєтесь на роботу, а потім вже додаються різні сертифікати. Крім портфоліо, якщо у вас робота пов'язана з портфоліо, то тоді треба надсилати портфоліо. Наприклад, моя студентка в Японії, вона мала надсилати паперові CV і паперове портфоліо там в 10, наприклад, компаній, і таке, тому що вона архітектор. Така була потреба. Залежить від професії, але зазвичай всі сертифікати подаються вже потім.
Дякуємо. Is it mandatory to have a cover letter and send it together with CV?
Yes, you cannot just write send an empty letter and attach CV. You have to write there. This is, as I said, it's a cover letter, and it's like your motivational letter, why you want to work for this company, why you're interested in this job position. So it is mandatory, yes.
Я в цей момент згадала, коли я подавала кудись резюме, і була можливість через певні платформи або підвантажувати супровідний лист, або ні, то, мабуть, це найкращий маркер, чи варто подаватися, коли ти розумієш, що тобі лінь писати мотиваційний лист. Отже, робота не настільки добра, що вона тобі потрібна.
Я, чесно кажучи, час від часу готую студентів до job-інтерв'ю, і інколи студенти в процесі підготовки розуміють, що це не та робота, яку вони хочуть. Тому підготовка CV – це так само і вам допомагає зрозуміти, чи хочете ви саме тут робити, чи працювати, чи ні.
Класне питання про те, what should portfolio contain?
Portfolio must contain your projects. So if you are an architect, it must contain examples of your projects, the best ones, of course. It can contain up to 10 pages. Some UX, UI designers create portfolio online and they just give the link in their CV. So it must contain your best projects or best photos. If you're a model, then your best shows.
Дякую. Доброго дня. Підкажіть, будь ласка, якщо я науковець, чи потрібно надсилати свій список публікацій або підшивку в копії публікацій?
У науковців там взагалі все по-іншому. Науковці мають писати дуже великі cover letter, вони краще надсилати список публікацій, які ви маєте, і лінки до них, ну, і це і є список публікацій. Якщо, ну, наприклад, в Європі помітила, що дуже люблять це паперове, то надсилають паперові копії. От. В залежності від того, куди ви подаєтесь. Чесно кажучи, програми, куди подаються науковці, вони зазвичай пишуть детально, що потрібно. Там можна знайти зазвичай, там треба надіслати там останні 10 публікацій. І вони пишуть, або там це має бути принтоване і поштою йдете на пошту, що для нас трохи дивно, але або це має бути просто лінки.
How should we name PDF?
Так, я бачу. Питання. Так, моя рекомендація створити в Word CV і мати змогу його постійно редагувати. Потім робите його копію, копію, редагуєте в залежності від роботи, на яку подаєтесь, тобто видаляєте все, що не потрібно, залишаєте лише релевантну інформацію і зберігаєте в PDF і надсилаєте PDF-ом. Найкраще одну сторінку, не 20.
Я думаю, що тут ще запитання було про те, як назвати сам файл. Ну, наприклад, там прізвище та ініціали або що.
Так, прізвище, ім'я по батькові повністю і CV пишете, або резюме. Щоб людина, тому що вона може отримати інші документи просто з прізвищем, а якщо там буде написано CV, то людина знає, що це ваше CV. Прізвище, ім'я по батькові і так.
А наскільки релевантно в англійських резюме писати по батькові? Вони ж не вживають такі формулювання.
Ну, я мала на увазі прізвище і ім'я, так. По батькові не треба, middle name не треба, так, вибачаюся.
Та ні, це я просто дуже люблю докопуватися до дрібниці і там відповідати повністю на запитання наших глядачів. Гаразд, і тут знову повторюється запитання про те, там, чи потрібно додавати дипломи, сертифікати. Давайте ще раз відповімо на це запитання, тому що я так розумію, можливо, хтось до нас доєднався трохи пізніше.
Так, дипломи і сертифікати зазвичай потрібні потім. Після job-інтерв'ю вони просять proof, це називається, типу підтвердження того, що ви маєте сертифікат або диплом, і ви його надсилаєте. В Європі це дуже популярно, вони люблять, щоб освіта була ось саме до цієї роботи, на яку ви подаєтесь. Тобто, якщо ви там, наприклад, IT-девелопер з певної мови програмування, то щоб у вас освіта була саме з цієї мови програмування, що трохи дивно. В Україні, наприклад, беруть з медичного університету програмістів і ніяких сумнівів не мають. Але сертифікати і дипломи подаються вже після того, як у вас було інтерв'ю. Ви лише їх вказуєте в своєму CV.
Дякую. Чи писати в назві резюме посаду, для якої відправляється резюме?
Чесно кажучи, не обов'язково, тому що в CV, ось ця шапка, про яку я казала, там 3-5 речень про себе, саме там треба вказати, на що ви подаєтесь. Тобто HR, коли відкриває перше речення, яке він читає, він бачить, що ви подаєтесь на цю позицію.
Thanks. Could you recommend some e-resource links to familiarize with adequate templates, examples of CV, resume, cover letter, please? Not only Europass.
Yes, that's what I included in my presentation, and this link must be under our video. Check it, please. They are like resumes, examples, something like that. The one that I found, and I really like it.
Отже, якщо ви ще не знайшли посилання під трансляцією, де є всі корисні матеріали, то саме час. Там будуть зібрані і шаблони, і рекомендації дійсно класних платформ, якими можна скористатися, аби оформити своє резюме. Тобто Інна чудово попрацювала і зробила для нас в продовження лекції таку підказку, щоб дійсно можна було завершити цей шлях фіналізації резюме. І дуже дякую за таку думку про те, що треба резюме оновлювати з кожним новим етапом, новою, наприклад, там суперконференцією, яку ти відвідав, чи супер якоюсь практикою, яку отримав, чи новою роботою. Тому що коли ти, наприклад, закидаєш цю тему і повертаєшся до підготовки резюме через 4 роки, то здається, що це непідйомний такий слон, якого треба різати на бівштекси. Ось.
Так, краще записувати. Мені якось легше, тому що я веду Google календар, і там зазвичай пишу всі назви тренінгів, які я відвідала, тому що вони в мене заплановані. І потім в кінці, наприклад, місяця або в кінці року я можу відкрити свій Google календар і просто побачити, ага, ось в мене були такі тренінги, вони там релевантні до такої роботи, і я там їх включаю просто. Можна так ще робити, але так, в мене нагадування стоїть, чесно кажучи, що там хоча б раз на півроку або раз в рік переглянути своє CV і там змінити його. У мене колись було там на 5 сторінок, зараз одна маленька сторінка.
Окей. Маємо ще одне запитання про difference between CV, resume, portfolio. It seems I do not get it.
Yeah. CV is means like life experience. Usually CV contains everything, all your working experience, your life experience, your interests, your personal hobbies, and so on. It's your basis, which you use when you create resume. This is a customized CV for a particular job that you are applying for. So if you want to be an accountant, so you leave or you copy paste only this information. If you want to be camp counselor in the camp, then you create only you include only the information about your experience with kids. Portfolio, these are examples of your projects. If you're an architect, if you're a designer, if you're a photographer, then it includes either links to these projects or some like real papers where you draw something or where you created something.
If there isn't any related work experience for a target job, can we skip this title and focus on a skills title and courses title?
Of course, yes, this is what you should do. Yes, if you don't have any relevant work experience, then just write that you are highly motivated, that you want to do, that you have these skills and you have this like courses, standard, and so on. People like taking trainees because they don't need to retrain them. So it's like, no worries, try it.
Гаразд. Наскільки років назад потрібно вказувати позиції з роботою? Оце моє улюблене запитання на сьогодні.
Якщо у вас, наприклад, як я викладач вже там 20 років, то я все одно подаюся на якусь роботу як викладач, то я можу включати всю цю інформацію. Зазвичай це 5-10 років максимум. Останні 5-10 років, якщо ви міняли роботи, то це вказують 5-10 років. Якщо вже більше, то, скоріш за все, це не такий не relevant experience.
Де найкраще перевірити рівень своєї англійської?
Можна перевірити рівень навіть такі сайти, як Cambridge, вони мають, можна написати, типу, test your level of English, і можна побачити багато різних тестів і пройти їх. Ще називають такі placement test, вони називаються. Можете просто загуглити placement test і побачити. Ми на курсах, коли працюємо, у нас просто є адміністратори, викладачі, які тестують студентів, і можна так само просто поспілкуватися з якимось викладачем, і, я не знаю, мені там треба 10 хвилин максимум, щоб зрозуміти, який точно рівень, якщо там треба, типу, B1+, B1-. А так, і люди, у яких високий рівень, вони в принципі, знають, що у них високий рівень. Сумніваються, то, скоріш за все, у них низький рівень. Тому ще
А наскільки правильно трошки прикрасити свій рівень англійської, ну там?
В залежності від роботи, якщо ви подаєтесь на роботу, де треба буде там багато писати англійською, то краще вказати свій рівень, який у вас є. Тим паче, інтерв'ю зазвичай проходить англійською, якщо ви кудись подаєтесь в Європі або в Америці. І вони одразу почують, який у вас рівень, і як ви їх розумієте. Але не хвилюйтесь, дуже часто їм потрібні мотивовані люди і люди, які зацікавлені в цій роботі. І дуже часто людина може просто сказати: я зараз вивчаю англійську, я зараз там якраз на курсах або займаюся з викладачем. І це краще, ніж сказати, що у вас, наприклад, рівень advanced, а у вас там pre-intermediate. Просто скажіть, що ви до нього йдете.
Клас. Маємо запитання просто супердоречне про те, якщо сьогодні все зрозуміли на вебінарі, то який приблизно це рівень?
Це буде intermediate, pre-intermediate level, тобто середній рівень. Я намагалася використовувати дуже прості слова, тому що розуміла, що аудиторія різна, і там upper intermediate або advanced vocabulary я не використовувала. Тобто, якщо ви все зрозуміли, то це буде у вас рівень B1. B1, я б сказала так, plus-minus.
Дякую. І, власне, в продовження нашого запитання про рівні англійської, можливо, варто пройти якісь тести, як от TOEFL, IELTS, чи там достатньо якогось онлайн, скажімо, підтвердження саме для там CV.
Наприклад, науковці, якщо вони подаються на гранти, їм треба проходити TOEFL або IELTS в залежності від університету і його вимог. І якщо ви просто подаєтесь, і це взагалі ніяк не пов'язано з англійською, тобто у вас просто буде спілкування англійською на роботі інколи, а так ви будете самі собі сидіти і там робити, наприклад, дизайн, то тоді зазвичай підтвердження не просять. І під час інтерв'ю розуміють, який у вас рівень. Інколи навіть HR дають потім тести, щоб ви ще пройшли тест і вони побачили, який у вас рівень. Я знаю, що в багатьох компаніях треба проходити такі тести там раз на півроку. Мене студенти розказували, ми готувалися до них. Тому TOEFL і IELTS, офіційні сертифікати потрібні, якщо це студент, науковець, або це дійсно пов'язано з англійською, тобто робота, наприклад, вам треба буде писати сценарії англійською, то тоді краще мати такі сертифікати.
Окей, маємо класне запитання, ми вже на нього в певній мірі сьогодні відповідали, але воно про юних пошукачів роботи. От if I don't have any experience in a new job vacancy, what I will write in CV? Можливо, давайте ще раз саме англійською відповімо про те, що робити новачку, в якого дійсно дуже таке ще порожнє резюме.
You have to write your skills, what you are able to do. You have to mention your certificates or courses that you have visited, you have attended. And you have to write about you, why you want to do this job, why you are interested in it, why you are highly motivated in it. I guess that's it. Also, you can include maybe some interests. I recommend to include interests if this company is like focused on life-work balance and they don't want you to overwork, not like Japanese companies, or then you can also include your even interests. But I mean that you have at least something to write about in your CV. So skills, courses, certificates, interests, and a description about you. No worries if it will be like half a page, that's okay. I mean, that's like what you have.
Так, дякую. Ловимо останнє запитання на сьогодні. Воно про те, що робити, якщо, наприклад, є нерелевантні до вакансії досвіди роботи, і якщо людина їх, скажімо, не вставить в блок, де йдуть по роках розписані ці досвіди, чи не буде питання в HR-спеціаліста, що, власне, людина в ці роки робила, чи вона там, скажімо, не лежала з коктейлем на Мальдівах і не пробуксовувала можливість там здобувати робочі навички?
Ну, я просто не бачу нічого поганого в тому, що добре, у рекрутера буде питання, ну, що ви робили? І ви розкажете, що ви там робили, там, дивилися за дитиною, чи там писали книжку. Ну, нічого того, якщо у вас релевантний є досвід, а ви не вказали нерелевантний, якщо вони запитаються, що ж ви там робили, то просто розкажете їм. Не бачу тут нічого поганого, чесно кажучи.
Ну що, нам час завершувати нашу одногодинну зустріч. Можливо, за підсумками нашого діалогу з глядачами у вас з'явилась якась свіжа думка або там рекомендація, яку ви хотіли б зафіналити, скажімо, нашу зустріч нею.
Напишіть CV сьогодні. Це що я хотіла вам сказати. Сядьте сьогодні і напишіть його. Воно не буде ідеальним і не треба, щоб воно було ідеальним. Але це буде перший, тому що зазвичай пишуть CV, у мене завтра там треба подаватись на роботу, сьогодні вночі сяду, буду його писати. Краще напишіть його сьогодні, щоб були вже готові.
Дуже вам вдячні. Нагадаю нашим глядачам, що з вами сьогодні були Інна Жарук та Килина Бішер. Це був перший ефір вебінарного курсу How to – як спілкуватися англійською впевнено. Його для вас створили національний проєкт «Дія цифрова освіта» та онлайн-маркет курсів англійської мови «Буя». До речі, подивитися цю лекцію можна буде в записі на Фейсбук-сторінці та на Ютуб-каналі «Дія цифрова освіта». Тож, не впустіть вашу можливість сьогодні оновити ваше резюме. Дякую вам, Інно, що ви провели цей освітній практикум. Дякую глядачам, що взяли в ньому участь. Вчимося та підкорюємо нові вершини. Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Дякую, Калина.
Па-па!
Bye.